So, what do we have here? We have students and courses. What is the association between them? Or what is the relationship? Mark.
Many to many.
To many to many. Students can have many courses and courses can have many students. So what do we need in the middle? Anytime we have a many to many relationship, what do we need? Joiner model. All right, just to be consistent with my models, I will call this enrollments. This joiner model is called enrollments. So let's just fix that model real quick. A student can have many enrollments. Enrollment can belong to students. And a course can have many enrollments, and an enrollment can belong to courses. Good so far? Thank you. Just to give you guys an idea of what the attributes are for student, nothing crazy. We only have an attribute of name, an attribute of age, and for the course, it's just a name. I just want to focus on many to many relationship today and our forms and our selection tags, nothing crazy. And for the enrollments, all I really want to do is keep track of the association. So what is one thing I definitely need for my enrollments or my joiner model? Course ID. And the student ID. And we'll leave it at that. Question so far on the models. All right, so I kind of already generated some of the controllers and the models here. You guys can see. It's just for the students and the courses, and we apparently need a joiner model here. So, can anyone tell me what the shortcut is for generating a controller for enrollments? Teresa.
It's Rails, G, then I believe it's mod. I feel like, wait, this is the controller?
Just the controller.
Shoot, I forgot the syntax actually.
Okay, that's fine.
Controllers.
Rails, G, controllers, or controller. Which one?
Controllers.
Controllers. And
And the name of the controller?
what's the name?
Enrollments?
Enrollments.
Yes.
Actually, now I'm conflicted. Is it controller or controllers?
Controller.
Controller, right? Yeah.
Is it one?
Yes.
Controller.
It's one controller we're generating.
Yep. All right.
Index singular or
Just for the sake, I'm gonna generate all of the path for the controllers. Index, new, create, show, edit, update, destroy. Just in case. Yes, James.
is it singular or plural?
Enrollments. Well,
Always.
is the name of the controller is always gonna be plural. Controller enrollments in this case.
I think it changes it too automatically. If you left it on the S, I think it'll still change it.
Find out. No, it's all good. In case you guys have not noticed, every time we do use Rails G controller, you get an ERB file for all of them, which you shouldn't have all of them. Like, we don't need a destroy, we don't need an update, but we'll leave it up for now to avoid confusion. Okay, so we have our enrollments controller. What else do we need to have here?
We need to create a folder for the enrollments and individual views for each one of these.
Specifically, what folder in this case?
You will go into the views folder and you will create an enrollments folder.
Oh, we have it already.
We already have
It gets generated with the controller.
So then the next.
But we are missing something else, though.
Models?
The models.
Your controller RB.
Anyone remember the generate controller for
Yeah,
models?
I do this time, I think.
Shoot for it.
Rails, G model, and then model.
What's the name in this case?
Enrollments.
Singular, plural?
Singular.
Singular. It's two ways to go about this. I'm just gonna go about it the regular way I know about. Course ID, we're gonna set it to an integer. And what's the other one? Student ID, which is gonna be in the format of an integer. And in case you guys are not aware of this, every time you use generators, you get RSpec files along with them, which you don't want. So to avoid RSpec files, just attach a --no-test framework. Completely avoids the RSpec files. Yeah.
When we do G controller, does it create our models for us already? It doesn't?
It does.
So why are we doing G model now?
Oh wait, what was your question? Rails G controller?
Yeah.
No, the Rails G controller only generates the controller, and the Rails G models has to generate the models. I think you're thinking about resource. Like I haven't, yeah, I'm not.
By hand instead of generating.
Exactly.
Controller generate only controller, and also
Rails G controller generates the controllers, and Rails G model generates the models, whereas Rails G resource generates both.
And controllers generate views, but resource doesn't.
If you use Rails G controller, the views are generated for you.
What does no-test framework do?
It avoids generating the RSpec files, because by default, if you use a generator, it's just going to generate RSpec files that you don't really need to use. Saeed, what is it?
So we couldn't use resource?
I didn't want to use resource. It's just a preference.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want, you can use resource. It's just a personal preference in my case. So now I just want to double check. We have our enrollment model, and just to double check, we have our views, and we have our controllers. All right, we're all good. All right. So look at the actual README before we move on. I did provide you guys pre-steps on what I already did for this app, just so you are following along. Like I said, I generated most of these models and controllers beforehand. This is what we just did with some extra steps. So our idea is we want to create the association for now. So if we go back to our models, course, we don't have any associations yet. So according to this model, of course, what is this relationship with the other two?
As many elements.
Underscore.
As many
Simple.
enrollments. Okay, that's it.
As many students or comma.
Through enrollments. Is that it? Okay, enrollment belongs to student and to course. Finally, student has many what? And has many through enrollments.
Good question. How
Yeah.
the last one you did for the S1 courses? The previous one. I think you were.
The previous model, enrollment.
Yeah.
Remember, we're following convention here. Since it belongs to, that means it's one thing.
Oh.
So,
it's a
yeah,
single course.
exactly.
Okay.
Clear on that?
Question.
Yeah.
For the test, would we, for the challenge, would we get a many-to-many or a one-to-many? Okay, so for a one-to-many, okay, we don't have to answer that. For one-to-many, we would have to write like a dependent, right? Like, or no?
Yeah, like in the event that one of your models is dependent on the other one, has to exist. Yeah.
So in this case, if it's like enrollments of courses, then
in this case, the dependent would belong where, or would go where, like something is like dependent on it, right? So in this case, what is a dependent? Forgot the syntax.
Yes, schema.
Destroy. I forgot the syntax. Let's check it out.
Oh, yeah.
It's double symbols.
Dependent. Yep.
Double symbols.
Clear on that?
Yes.
Alright. We'll just leave it on that one model for now. We'll go back to it later. Alright, so next step would be to migrate. So before I migrate, let's make sure everything's in order. The schema. I mean I don't have a schema yet, never mind. The migration files. So we have a string name, name age, integer course ID, integer student ID. All good so far. So let's like migrate this. Rails db migrate. This better work. Yep. So now let's create our seeds. So we have something to work with. Rails db seed. Seeded. All right. Let's see if we're on.
Nice.
Always check if you're on. Don't just assume it works, especially for tomorrow. All right. Any questions so far on the setup, James?
When you have your controllers, I remember once there was like, when we were doing only one model and only one controller, you said like run something somewhere, and then otherwise you say use. When you're, where was that? Where it said use all the controllers? Or is that just?
That was for Sinatra.
That was Sinatra?
Yeah. Like in this case, we don't have to like rail.
Because the controllers inherit from the main one that's called run on.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. Back to README. Let's just have an idea of what the deliverables are asking for so that we know how to approach the setup. So first thing we need to do is display all students in the database. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. 2, we need to add students in the index. 3, have a show page for each student. In the show page, the courses associated with the student are displayed. That might be an extra step. In the show page, we have the ability to update or delete the specific student. 6, ability to register for a new course using Form 4 and Collection Select by creating a new enrollment. And finally, ability to drop a course by deleting enrollment. Or everything up until 4 looks doable. Let's do it. So just to give you an idea, most of these are dependent on the student model. So let's just focus on the student controller for now. I have way too many files there. Let's check these out. So students controller. First things first, index should be generic for now.
No, it's not students.
Add
That's
students.
enrollment.
No, it's not students.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Good call. All right, students controller. I'm in the right one this time. Students equals what?
Student capital students.
Student or students? Student. Please be clear with that. Student.all. Just to make sure this works, let's go with the index page associated with this. Let's take that out. All right, student index page. So this ERB file is inheriting what variable? Students. And now all I want to do is just list them. So actually, which, am I using the angry squid here or the regular syntax? Do I want this to show? No. So I'm just iterating through it. So add students is going to be an array. Add students dot each And always make sure you're ending. Since we are going to be mapping here, might as well use the UL. All right. So, walk me through. What should I write? Or what should I type? LI. What goes inside the LI?
With the equal sign.
Angry squid. Because you want this to show. So what am I showing exactly? Just the student? All right, let's check it out. I am getting my routes. So I would go config if I can find it. There we go. Config routes. And also, in case you guys did not realize, controller will also generate your routes. Unfortunately, it's the wrong routes, or it's the right ones, it's just not what we expect. So for now, I just wanna be able to access all the routes. So resources what? Students. Leave it there for now. Student 1, student 2. All right, looks good so far. So this is done. Now from here, I want to be able to add a new student in the index. So somewhere in this page, I want to have a link to or a button where it redirects me to the new page form so I can put in the new information, right? So let's go back to the index ERB. Just to be a little comfortable with buttons more, I'm going to use a button here. So button 2. Button 2 takes in 3 arguments. First one being the text we wanted to say, second one being the path, and the third one being the method we wanted to execute. So just to keep it simple, the button, we wanted to just say add new student in the database. Hopefully in your minds you know where the path is now. So if I were to click this button, where do I want it to redirect to? New student path. Perfect. And the third path always takes in a method. In this case, what am I doing? No, this is just getting the form, right? So what type of action is that? Get. All right. Let's close that out. So right now in my students, I do have a new ERB that just says student new form. Let's just see if we can access that. And then we're good to go. We're good. Now let's get started on our form. Equals form 4. What's this going to take? Add student. Do F. Okay. What else do I need here? F dot label. Name. Let's just take care of the labels for now. What other label do I need? Age. All right, now let's fill it in. What type? F dot text field, because we want to be able to take in a string, right? This is going to be associated with the name attribute. What about the age? Number field. Do I need anything else? F dot submit.
For form 4, shouldn't it be non-angry script?
For this part? Check it out. Well, that's actually a different error, but
But what about line 7? Line 7 still says name instead of age after the fifth.
good call. In case you guys did not realize this, first argument in the form cannot contain nil or empty. What did I forget to pass into this form?
But we didn't do the student.
I didn't define it. That student equals what? Student.new. So now that should work. That's not it. Where am I? There you go. And Nick, what was your question? We don't need an equal sign? Yeah, we need it. Because we want it to show, right? An equal sign is something you want it to appear on the web page. Otherwise, it's performing in the background. Any questions so far on the form? Good? All right. All right, so once we click submit, what happens? Where do we get redirected to?
Create the index page.
Well, first we get redirected to the create controller, right? What do we want to happen here?
Find that student.
You want to create
We gotta create that student, right?
Yeah,
So student dot create params dot.
ID. And then our other things.
Remember, this is taking in params from the form, so you got to be specific on what you're acquiring, which is a key of student, and within those fields, I want to require the name and the age. All right. So once we create it, what happens after? Where do we go?
Do a redirect.
Students.
Students path. In other words, the index page, right?
Yep.
Let's see if this works.
I think.
All right, we're good. Okay, so now we can create a student. Now we want to have a show page for each student. How can I go about that? Or where should I start? Actually, let's see. Do I even, for students, I already have a show page. There's just nothing in it yet. But let's just see if I can access that right now. So from the index page, what do I need to add? Specifically where? Line 6. Link 2 takes in two arguments. The first one being the name of whatever is inside, and the second one would be the path. What is the path?
Student path,
New student.
and then argument as student.
Student path, and then pass in the student instance. All I want to do is just check if I get redirected. We're good. So now that show page is missing a couple of things. Right now, let's take that out. It only just has static information. What do I need to pass in? And where do I need to pass it in from?
To find the student that's passing anything out.
Student dot find params, and then the ID that's passed in. If we go back to our show page, now we have access to that student. So I can just say at student dot name page. See if that's syntactically right. Yep, results page. Okay. What else do I want to show here? Age. At student dot age. Any questions so far? Good? All right. So now we have a show page for each student. There's just not much in each, but we have it. So now, in the show page, the courses associated with the students are displayed. Right now, Lizelle does not have a class, so let's avoid Lizelle for now. But if we go back to our seeds, student 1 and student 2 should have classes associated with them. Why can't I? Oh, there we go. Yeah, at least 3 classes. So I want to be able to access these classes or these enrollments and display them on the show page, right? So let's go back to the show page. It makes sense if we're gonna list anything, it's better to use a UL. So any guesses on how I can access that information, Gabe?
Since you have access to add student,
Okay.
we're gonna iterate over it, so we're gonna go add student dot enrollments dot each due height the enrollment.
Okay, perfect.
And then you're gonna add a line and do an end, and then open LI, close LI, in between it the angry squid. And you're gonna do student dot enrollment dot. Enrollments doesn't have a name though. You didn't give it any sort of, enrollment only is a course ID and student ID.
Why are you focused on enrollment?
Okay.
No, we can stick to enrollment, but don't focus on these attributes. Enrollment has more than these 2 attributes.
Okay, enrollments dot course dot name.
That's one way. Is this gonna work? Let's check it out. So student 1, bam. Actually, let's put more of a label in there so it makes sense. H2 courses.
If we go back, would we be able to do just add student dot courses?
Yes, you totally can. But for this purpose of what I'm trying to do later, we'll stick to this. But just know that you guys can strictly go from enrollments to just courses. What? Oh, you want to see it that way? Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Just real quick. So we don't need this anymore. Oh no. Okay, hold on. That was way bad. Okay, there you go. Whew. Alright. So we don't need this part anymore. We're already in the course. So should this still work on the bottom? There you go. But for now, I will just stick with Gabe's approach because that would be more beneficial later. You'll find out. So we have the courses associated gone. In the show page, we have the ability to update or delete the specific student. So we need a couple more buttons in there. So in the show page, we'll create another button. It's up to you guys. What do you want to do first? Destroy or delete? Update? Which are you guys more uncomfortable with? Update. All right. So button 2. Edit student. And we're gonna. Where are we linking this to? Edit student path. And again, remember it takes in a third argument. So in this case, method is going to be. That's actually a good point. What is it supposed to be? Patch? We'll call it patch. Either way. All right. So let's just see if this works. We should see the update page. Nope. Why not? Oh, because I don't have a path for it. That's why. So another way to check it.
We can also say put instead of patch, right?
I'm also missing an argument here. What should I put for edit? Find that student. Or else it wouldn't know which student you're trying to update. So for update, let's see if we can just reach this path. What did I set up wrong?
The patch, I think it's not an issue with the patch. I think by the error.
So should we try put?
Didn't matter.
I think if you go to the back, edit student path has to take argument.
No, it's just having a problem with the method.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
Edit student path ID.
Yeah.
It's not printing it. It's going.
It's for show. Get us for show. Not just for update. It is for update.
What if we use just the like link to that?
You want to take the easy way out here? You guys are on the right path here. Look at the errors. I mean, look at the routes or the action specifically.
Can we try get? Like, see.
Get?
It works.
Does everyone understand?
It's reset.
I see why. It's in there. It's in
Because
there.
James mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, but it's also there literally. If we could go back to the thing. Yeah.
The error.
The
Alright.
routes.
I guess I'll just purposely error it.
Yeah.
Make a mistake again. It's gonna say something.
Right there, where it says edit student path, it says get right there. And then it says it'll take like it'll go.
Students.
Yeah.
Because we have to get the form corrected.
We're not updating anything here yet. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
All right. So now that we have our form, I'm going to do this super lazy way here. Just copy this into edit. And this should still work. Not that part. All right, let's edit Lizzo. Hey, what happened?
We didn't read the
Well, that too, we didn't redirect, but at the same time, it hit my buy bug, so we're good now.
That's when Rain is under fusion.
Alright, so from here, we hit our buy bug, that's good. What do I actually want to do in update though?
Same thing as create, right?
What did I do in create?
And student.
I want to create again?
No, we're saving that.
Alright, first of all, find the student, right? Because edit and update do not communicate with each other. And we do not pass those parameters along or those objects along. So we're going to find that student again. And I hope you guys are realizing a pattern here. I wrote this 3 times now. I'm pretty tired of it. But I'm not going to fix that problem later. So we're going to find the student first. And then once we have that student, what are we doing?
Student update.
Now we are updating it with what arguments?
Paths.
So you make another action for brand.
And as you probably realized by now, I'm doing this again.
You can just copy paste.
I'm not copying and pasting. You're programmers. You know the better way to do it. Don't be lazy.
Literally build tools to make things easier.
All right. So once I update, let's say that goes through. What now?
One more parenthesis.
Redirect.
Exactly.
Oh, and yes, parentheses.
Remove.
Now we are redirecting to
Probably the student's path, so they can see their page.
student path. Oh, not student.
We can choose here like which path we want.
You
to
can
send.
choose which path you want, but this case it makes sense to go back to the page we just updated, right? So let's go back to the student and pass in student object that we just changed.
Hey, we don't have to make it a local variable in this case, right?
Not necessarily, but just to be safe. Oh, right.
Oh, the Bible.
Also, make sure your server's running. I want this to actually stick. No, not me. There we go. Okay. Just make sure that persisted. Go to the list of all students, and we're still there. Any questions on the update? Good?
Yes.
All right. Another deliverable down. Oh, no, never mind. Still got one more. Let's delete. So in the same show page, I want to add another button. This time, delete.
Oh,
That just sounds so much more hard.
it's just more violent.
All right.
Yes, the student's path.
Destroy the student.
Okay. So you guys asked if there was let's see. All right. Is there a destroy path?
Well, it doesn't take a,
It's gonna take us to the student's
it
path.
doesn't take a path.
So the
Doesn't take a
message
path.
is delete, but there's an action.
There's the HTTP verb of delete, but it doesn't have a path.
Would have a method for a route. It has a method.
You still have to get it.
But not path.
Minute delete.
Destroy, right? Method is.
Well, you got to think of it this way. If there's no path,
It's to get that.
it's just a specific student's path at this point.
It's a student ID path, right?
Keep in mind that all of these share the same path, which is student. But ultimately, this method will tell me which path I'm actually looking for, which is, this is why I always get confused. It's either delete or destroy. We'll figure it out. So method delete. And then if we go back to our students controller page, we gotta destroy one of them. So the first thing I need to do, fourth time I'm about to do it, is what? Find the student. It's getting tiresome. So student dot find params ID. So once I have that student, what do I want to do? And yes, we probably don't even need to use these global variables, but I still want to. All right, after we destroy it, now what? Redirect to student's path
No.
or student?
Yes, yes.
Doesn't make sense to go to the student path. No longer exists, right?
They're gone. It'll be looking no.
All right. Oh. All right. I don't want to delete any of those students. We're good.
Yes.
What is it, Ivan? I don't know if
I
you
just want to see that button to delete
the button,
CRUD,
the
yeah.
syntax.
Yeah.
What is not clear?
For update, why is the method button 2 is get, and for delete, the method is delete? Because they're both, I mean, I understand you need to get the form in order to update it, but delete, you don't have to get anything, just, or.
Yeah, because you're just destroying the.
Everything.
Yeah. You don't need to-
Before you update, you need to bring up the form. But if you're destroying, you don't need to bring up a form. You just need to destroy it. So hey, what is it?
So why don't you use that, like, the plural and the singular
For this,
Yeah.
like why not students path?
Yeah, why not, well, that would be an index, right? Like,
Yeah, like by convention, always go to your errors. Students path always returns the index controller, which is all of them, while student path returns the specific student. In this case, is a show page.
So we can literally use those helpers, like copy and paste those helpers to put that in.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's the same.
Yes, yeah. I don't know what to say about it, but yes, you can use this as reference.
In the 1 and 2, and when we say student path, we don't have to pass in like add student path, and then take
No, not necessarily. Since we're already working with specific student, it knows like Rails. It just knows.
Okay.
Don't ask me how it knows, but it knows. Yeah, magic. It's just magic. All right. Any questions on the CRUD? IBEC.
Can we like use instead of button to like link to and then just edit student add and take it out of it?
You totally can.
I think it's the same thing, right?
It does the exact same thing. It's just button looks prettier. Yeah. I mean, it's just my personal preference. If you guys wanted to, you can just use link to.
Would it still work if you use like the A tab, like the A tab? You just put the path in.
Yeah, but that's like the longer way. You're not using the Rails helpers at that point. Yeah. So like in this case, if I wanted to edit this guy, it still brings up the edit form using the link to. But it's up to you. Just bind to looks better to me. All right, any questions on the CRUD for the student? We're good? All right, another one down. Lizelle, is there anyone after us? Is there anyone after us? Oh boy. All right, just power through. All right, so next one, ability to register for a course using a Form 4 collection select by creating a new enrollment. So the only thing I want to do here is create a new enrollment, not a new course. Everyone understand that, right? Because I don't want to create more courses. I just want to create a new registration through enrollments. So let's go through, well, the first things first. Let's keep this organized. In my show page for my student, I want to have a button that is responsible for button 2, we'll call this register for course. This is where things get a little messy, but not crazy. So if I want to register for a course, technically I want to create a new enrollment, right? So what path would I create a new enrollment in?
Students ID /enrollment /new.
No, well, don't give me the specific path, but like, what would be the Rails convention? New what? New enrollment path. Just want to be clear. Again, every time you register a course, we're creating a new enrollment. So this button, every time it's clicked, you are redirecting me to the new enrollment path. And again, please be careful. What type of method is this? Gets. Because I just want to bring up the form, right? So if I did things correctly, we should get the new form. This should appear once we click. Perfect. Yeah.
Quick question, so if you go back to the code, so for the registration, this allows you to choose a new course? Is that what you're saying this is doing? Okay, gotcha, alright.
Like we're choosing from an existing course,
Okay.
and like we're essentially creating a new enrollment,
So like a drop
a
down
new
menu
associate.
for
Exactly.
courses and select one.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So what was our error there? So undefined local variable, new enrollment path. Why is that? Routes. Don't just assume things are working. Your routes or our routes are not set up.
resources.
I only have the path for students. So now I gotta set up the path for enrollments. Again, I'm just gonna leave all of them open for now. If we got time, we'll refactor. But for now, let's just leave this open. See if this should work now. Register for course. Great. Now let's fill in that form. So again, I am working on the enrollment form. Enrollment new form. All right, so same thing we always deal with when we are creating things, right? Create a form for. What do I pass in? Enrollments or enrollment?
Whatever we whichever we instantiated the previous.
Good point, Viraj. Did we instantiate anything in the enrollments controller page? Let's check it out. I'm not passing anything here. What do I need to pass in?
Add enrollment.
Add enrollment
Enrollment.new.
equals enrollment.new. Okay, that's all good. More passing in enrollment here. Form. And, okay. What do I need?
Two collection selects.
2 collection selects? Well, okay. So let's just do this first. F.label.
I think it should be like add for both or
Can you do that form and then have later?
No, it's gonna be an error. It's gonna read it as form. Doesn't know what you're talking about. Course ID, and this is going to be student ID. Okay, we got our label set up, and now we can set up our F dot collection. Select. This is where you have to memorize 4 things. First thing, what?
Course ID.
Course ID. Perfect.
Course level.
Second,
Course level.
course dot all. Again, convention. Do this in the controller page, but we'll just leave it there for now. Third argument,
ID.
ID of that course, and what do we want to show? The name of the course. Perfect. We're gonna do the same exact thing for student. Hopefully I remember to change the names. What is this? Student.all. And then F dot submit. All right, did a lot of typing there. See if that works. Register for course. We have our courses that we want to register for. And I mean, this is kind of janky. This doesn't make sense. If you want to register for a course, it should just be your name automatically. But for now, we'll just make them choose. So Razel for coding 102. This should be an error. Or not an error, but redirects us to a page that shouldn't exist. All right, so all that works. We can create. So from here, what do I do?
Enrollment. Creating.
Enrollment.create. This is just pattern at this point. Don't get the ID confused. That's only for a show page. This one I'm passing in the params, which is going to be the enrollment key. And I am permitting, if you guys remember, what? Course ID. The student ID. So after we create it, what needs to happen? Which path? let's say I want to go back to the students page. It only makes sense, right? How can I access the students page in this scope?
Student path.
Student, you have the student ID. So
I can say student path, but I don't have the ID. It wouldn't know which path to go to. There's doesn't have the student path here.
Should we say that flash thing?
Not the flash.
Don't you have the
Or,
student
yeah,
ID?
Vicky used the student ID.
I'm hearing it from you guys. From where?
From the programs, the course ID and the student ID. The
That's one way.
key is in there.
That's definitely one way. Or, yeah. This guy knows about my student, right? It only belongs to one student. So let's just access it from here. I'm just showing you guys different ways to navigate about Rails. It doesn't necessarily have to be convention every time. Have fun with it. Alright, so this should go back to Razel's page. There we go. Ideally, if we followed convention, this should take us to the enrollment show page. But doesn't make sense. I wanted to see on the student's main page. Are we clear on that? Okay, so we did new course using form 4 and collection select, and now we want to delete that enrollment. So on the show page, I guess it's more user friendly if there was a button next to the course and I can just click remove this so it drops, right? So let's go to that show page. Let's make this user friendly. I don't just want to add an LI next to it. I also want to add another button just to see if this works. Button 2. Yeah, that actually makes more sense. Drop enrollment or course. I'm just gonna put some random paths here. This isn't final, so don't memorize this. Okay. So ideally, this is what we want our setup to look like, right? So students, go to student 1, kind of want the option to just drop the course, right? So if we click it, this is not going to do anything. It's just going to redirect us back here. But so if we click this, we want that to redirect somewhere else. So what am I deleting in this case?
I don't think you would need the enrollment, which is a joiner table. You would need a student ID and a course ID.
Wait. Okay, hold on. Too many people talk. All right. So in this case, right, just focus on this method right here, what we're trying to do. So I just need to change this path because ultimately, where do I want to lead this to? What am I trying to do?
To the enrollment controller to destroy it.
To destroy the enrollment, right? So
This is the gap.
I'm not using the student path here. I'm using the what path? Enrollment path. And specifically in the enrollment path, what method am I trying to do? So if we click drop enrollment, now we are being redirected to enrollment path, specifically the destroy method. This looks like we've done this before. What do I do? Grab the enrollment. Enrollment.find params ID. Next. Enrollment.destroy. Sweet. And then
Redirect to student page.
redirect.
to enrollment student page with an argument. Student path with the argument of enrollment.
Student path with an argument of
Enrollment.
enrollment.student. Perfect. Enrollment dot. I'm tripping. Okay. Enrollment.student. Right? Let's see. Maybe it's better if I show you guys. Okay. So I want to delete this dude, alright? No, what happened?
Because we created an enrollment with
Let's try that again. Drop it. Whoa, what's happening? Couldn't find enrollment with ID 1.
There is no ID one.
There is no ID 1.
But there is in our seats, if the enrollment does not have any student registered with ID 1, or enrollment doesn't have.
I think
Look at the chain of order that's happening here. Focus on destroy. What is happening exactly?
Oh, okay. There's no enrollment on a student because you destroyed the enrollment.
We're trying to destroy the enrollment.
We're trying to redirect to a path that we already destroyed, right? So we need to change the order here somewhere. A little hacky trick. At student equals at enrollment dot student. Now I have access to it. Now you can destroy enrollment. And now I just want to redirect back to the one that contains my student. Bam. Let's see if that works. Still no. Why is it looking for 1?
So it means that
Any clues?
so enrollment needs 2 IDs, right?
Yeah.
Student ID and course ID. So how does this enrollment know we're on student page?
Mm-hmm.
And then how does it know the course? Or how does it get the course ID?
So you're saying it might be an issue here?
This is about the require. This is about the you can't delete the pepperoni without the pizza situation.
the enrollment control.
The dependencies. I'm sorry.
The dependent thing?
Should we go back to routes?
Wait, what? I can't hear.
Can you go to the enrollment control?
Enrollments controller, okay. What are we doing wrong? This is literally the last thing you guys need to do today.
We're passing in the hash, the object, because we're not passing the student ID. Like what's go to routes so we can see what the student path is, but the student path takes.
Well, it's not an error with the student path. It's an error with the enrollment. We're trying to delete an enrollment that no longer exists.
Can you go back to the enrollment controller?
Can I see the delivery? Sorry.
I'm thinking it's not
What?
quite right.
No, you can leave actually. I don't know why you're still here. It's fine. They don't know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to myself. It's all good. All right, any ideas?
This is kind of a shock, but for some reason I get the feeling it's like when you're declaring the enrollments instance variable, but it's like, it could just be a little confused here, but like, you're finding by params course ID or something like that?
You want to guide me?
So go back to the enrollment control.
Okay.
So params and then in brackets put, the key course.
Can we try to do that with the
All right. Let's just see what we're getting here, right? So let's access that path. Students, drop enrollment. We're good. All right, what do we got? Params.
What do we got?
ID? We have only one ID.
We have one ID, which is 1. They're all 1. Let's keep track. So if I clicked on another thing, right? I clicked on 102. Let's say I click on machine learning. That's totally not 1. Params.
It's still
Still 1. Why?
It's in the nested hash of enrollment, right? It's in the.
Can we go Related
to the student of the course.
Oh, so we need to have a hidden type label there with the ID.
Oh, you didn't
I didn't pass in any.
Does it have to take the argument enrollment?
Yeah, ID
Remember, this was a way to throw you off.
So that would be at student.info.
Enrollment? And now I think it's working worse.
Let's try it. I want to guess. Okay, so remember, every time I clicked, it was always 1. Machine learning is definitely not 1. Let's see what we get now. 6. So just to give you guys context, if I took this out, right? Remember earlier, I didn't pass in any enrollment path. I mean, I didn't pass in any arguments with my paths, right? Because I was just assuming I wanted to deal with that specific path. But in this case, where am I calling this page from? If I do 1. Oh. Great. Rails S. Come on. Okay, there you go. So if I clicked drop enrollment, right? We're being redirected immediately. So it's gonna take in the information that exists right now. What's my parameter? It's always 1 because I'm calling it from student 1's page. But these guys have different IDs. So the only time I actually have to pass in an extra argument is if my paths change. Because I'm not calling this specific enrollment on its show page, I'm calling it from another show page. So it's important I pass in what argument I need to do, or what ID actually requires. Let's put it back. Drop. Ah, man, bye bug. Okay, let's take this guy out. Nick, you fell for that. You got me. All right. So now these should ultimately work. There we go. Bam, bam, bam. Register for course. Math 101, student 1, create enrollment. All right. We have full CRUD here on random stuff. How do we feel? That last thing was kind of a curveball. If that threw you off, don't do it. What is it, Teresa?
To re-understand, so when you have a joiner model and you need to basically like delete or do something from a different show page, that's when you pass an argument.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, if you want to be safe, just always pass in like a specific ID that belongs with it. Like the student path, just to be safe, always pass in something. Yeah. But naturally, it will work without an argument, but Rails is going to assume like it's associating it with that instance. So just to be safe, be clear in what you want it to go to.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So when we do link to instead of button to, how does it know which method to go to?
Link?
Yeah, link to
I
takes
think-
into two things. Links to the label of it and the path, right? If we have to do delete, how does it know? Because in this case, button, we need to let it know about the method. So how does the delete know?
So you're saying,
If we do
or so you're asking, what is the difference between just saying link to
destroy student?
destroy student and student path?
Yeah.
Well, let's see if this even works.
What was your question?
So link to does not require, or does it also require method? I'm confused right now.
I think we cannot use the link to on destroy because link to is sending like link to is sending something different than like a button.
Link to is like a link A tag. It's redirecting you somewhere else.
Yeah, it's HTML. If we go like inspect it, it will populate like HTML.
But we can't add method to link to it.
Actually, good question. I never tried. I just stick with button. Stick with button. It'll help you. It's more organized. But if you want to use link, that's fine. Other than that, any other questions? At this point, I can't answer whether a link takes in an argument. What?
Go back to the controller.
Which one? I got it.
Home controller.
This one? Which one are you looking at? Remember, I will be pushing all this up so you guys have access to it.
Could you go to the students show?
This student show. Michael, you good?
Yeah.
You good? Show page of students. Yeah.
So you said we can use that instead of enrollment course, right? Student course.
Yep. If you want, but in this case, it made sense because I wanted to add this extra thing. And if it doesn't make sense, I delete the course because I'm not deleting the course. I'm deleting the enrollment. Yeah. All right, so we have like 10 minutes, I think. Yeah. I will quickly try to cover validations and how you can, I guess, make them show up. All right. So I'll do a simple validation that we probably covered earlier, which is on student. I want to do something simple. Validate name. Present's true. If I can spell it right this time. True. I spelled it right, right?
No, C.
Oh my god, it's embarrassing. All right. Present's true, and then the other one is validates name. I want the uniqueness to be true. All this is saying is make sure that the name exists, or else don't create it. Otherwise, also make sure that it is unique. In other words, if Razel is taken, don't take Razel. All right. So we are in, where are we? So most of this is going to happen on our students controller on create. So after we create it, we have to check. Well, now it makes sense to actually store the student because there's going to be new attributes. So the first thing we need to make sure is if at student dot valid, then redirect to the student's path. Otherwise, do this other great stuff. Else, flash. Ian briefly covered this, so I will briefly cover it as well. Errors equals, what am I setting this to? At students dot errors full underscore messages. Nick, to answer your question, that is errors because you may have more than one error anyway. All right. Good? All right. So now that we have our errors, where do I want to go?
Same page.
Redirect to student path. In other words, try again. So if we go to, did I take it out? Yep. Okay. Student new. Okay. So ideally, you do not want this to show up. If you don't have flash errors, don't do it. So if flash errors. In other words, if flash errors is true, or that means there is flash errors, I want you to show them. End. Whoa. Okay. There you go. All right.
That was good. That's not a square.
Ice cream. Ice cream at the end of the day. END ice cream.
So, if I may be assuming a lot here. Do you guys remember what flash errors will be actually? What type of data?
Nah, we're trying to tell you like
Strings.
line 5.
Line 5, after the date, put a
There you
percent
go.
9. Okay.
Got it.
There you go. Alright.
Just takes a while.
Errors is array
But yeah.
strings.
All right, so it's gonna be like flash errors. We're gonna be setting it to an array, right? So this is gonna be an array flash, and naturally I want to do what? I want to iterate through them, right? Each dot each do error. Make sure to end this before I forget. Oh man. Okay, there you go. We'll just call this a paragraph. I don't want to use the UL anymore. All right, so for this one, I want you to generate a paragraph tag every time there is an error. So in this case, I want you to show me the error, which is an equal sign. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, let's see. Let's figure it out. Let's not question it. So I want to create a new one. So arrays will exist already. So this should be one error. Perfect. Name has already been taken. If you guys want to be really fancy with it.
Oh.
Hey, the CSS lecture is tomorrow.
No, it's now. Just for your reference. All right. Any other questions? Any other things that needs to be clarified?
That was quick. I can't believe that was amazing.
Just remember, flash errors will always be an array data type, and you always want to iterate through it. Dan, what is it?
Since we have a few minutes, do you want to show the refactors for the controller?
Yeah.
Params, refactors.
With a former refactor.
No.
You're killing me.
Let's not make it early.
All right, yeah, no, I got it. Okay, so as promised, there's a lot of repetitive code here. We can definitely refactor them.
Private.
Private.
So yesterday I had a question like if we don't use the private, if we don't write private, are we still able to get yes?
Naturally, it's supposed to be private because you don't want these methods to be part of your like routes. Because you're saying like check params is going to be a route. You don't want that. All right, so let's get rid of this. I'm going to call check params just to save some lines. Check that out. Check params. So everything that we were doing here, we're just doing in this method now. It's doing the same exact thing. Another method, def find student. Not sure if this is really going to save much, but we'll do it. Is that going to have an error problem?
We can do before action. Fine.
Not doing all that. Not doing all that. Just refactoring right now. Alright, so every time this shows up, not that part. So for this part, Command D, I can just call find student. That one really didn't save a line, but it looks shorter. And that's all that's all the refactor I'm gonna do.
For define a student,
Yeah.
do you need to pass an argument or it just automatically?
No, it just automatically just runs this file. Yeah.
So for
Good? Okay.
When we put an update, find student, and then the next line it's add student, can we just, it won't work, right? We would have to do find student dot update. So, it's wrong there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, screen. But yeah, screen is right. Because right now, if we call find student, this is going to return this thing, the whole instance, right? And honestly, this doesn't even make sense at this point. We just want the student, all right? So, you know what I'm getting at. It's a lot of refactoring. I'm just going to put it back. I'm going to put all of it back. Just to avoid confusion. I don't want to confuse anybody. Okay, the long way. Any questions with the long way? We're good? Any questions at all? You guys ready to kill it?
Yes.
Can't wait. Thank you.
That's an open requirement. It's
Ready 2020.
No.